Still don't have a name. Somebody said drop tune discussion. Somebody suggested that on TikTok. That's a decent suggestion.
Drop tune obsessed.
It's one of those things like when you know when you hit it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just don't think we've hit it yet.
Like Dimebag Darrell, you know when you hit him.
Yeah, sure.
So now what are we talking about today?
Talking about snare drums.
Okay. What is your feeling about snare drums in general?
In general, I think that so obviously there's sort of the producer meme of like snare drums always sounding like shit if you're a bedroom producer.
Sure, yeah.
And I think there's a lot of truth in that. So like in researching the topic today, because I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted, like which bands I wanted to discuss, but in researching the topic, I kind of came to the conclusion that on our tier list we have S, A, B, C, and D. I don't actually think there exists an A tier or a C tier for that matter. I think it's either just all right, really bad, or really, really good. But I don't think, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I was scratching my head a little bit on it too, because the more I thought about it, it's something that creators find very important. And obviously the meme exists because people want to get that center of the mix right.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of like
it's
is
super
the center.
important. Yeah.
Super important, but also doesn't matter at all at the same time, at least from a listener's perspective. And I'm saying objectively from someone who doesn't make music at all, like most people are not going to notice. And so, and I took that approach when I was trying to find snares.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, all right, I'm just going to listen to some things that, because even myself, like if I notice the snare sounds good, it's because I'm like analyzing the track.
Sure.
On the first listen of most things, I'm not paying attention at all to the snare.
Sure.
I'm listening to everything else, how it sounds, how's the composition, all this stuff. And then I'm like, oh, guitar's cool. I like that bass. The vocalist is cool. And like slowly I make my way towards the snare drum.
Sure.
And it never makes or breaks it for me, but it can definitely break it. If
it can break it
that bad.
That's what I was going to say is that like, I think if even to the casual listener, like, yeah, they won't notice most of the time, but I feel like they will notice if it's bad. In some cases, they'll notice if it's really, really good. If a song is written in a way that like, yeah, exactly. You know?
So this is a weird instrument. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As far as like how it really works with everything. Cause it has to be there and it has to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of varies. Like you said, it's a very thin margin of where it can be appropriate. You know?
Also, let's throw this out there, like pretty much right away. I am not now, nor have I ever been a fan of the dodgeball sounding snare.
Yes, and that's why I selected a few dodgeballs.
Hate it so much. It's
Which is funny because I just said it doesn't matter that much. But see, it is distracting. But like,
if it's just like
back to my last point. Yeah,
I'm like a slam track.
The ones that blast beat with that sort of sound is not. I wouldn't advise it. I think to my last point, it's the last thing I'm listening for when I listen to something. But in the case of it having a pong, I notice it right away, and I'm like, yeah, there's that pong, that good old pong. I love that pong sound.
I mean, the thing about music is that any rule you may come up with is meant to be broken. Like there's always a way to do a bad thing really well. You know what I mean? Like there's always going to exist some context in where the thing you should never ever do is the best thing to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, Waking the Cadaver, that was the first example of like the pig squeal really going to its extreme. To it, like, because before that, it was even a joke then. Like you'd hear it every now and then for like a syllable.
Mm-hmm.
But they were just like, no, I'm going to do it until it just sounds like a cricket noise over the track. You know what I mean?
The entire, like, yeah, more pig squeals than not. Ugh. Yeah, so I don't know. That's sort of my general thought on snares. I think that they're a really important element of a mix.
Yeah, they got to be there.
And a bad snare. I picked one example in particular that we'll get to. We'll talk about it when we get there. But one example.
Do we want to start with the bad, just to give people we give them that contrast?
I think. We can if you want. Yeah, why not?
Let's start with the shittiest thing we can find.
All right. Well, let's start with your side. Did you pick one that's particularly bad?
I had some ideas, but then I went and listened to them, and they're not like damnable. You know what I mean?
Okay, sure.
One that would have probably made some people upset was Black Dahlia Murder. Miasma. That snare sounds like it kind of sounds like slapping a piece of drywall. I don't know.
Let me pull it up because I don't.
There's something to it that just doesn't doesn't fit. You know
Because I love that album, and
I do too, but that always bothers me.
I think it's good.
I remember trying to listen to it earlier, and I was like, yeah.
For 2005 in particular, I don't know, I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's S tier, but I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. See, that's why I didn't even bother adding it, because like I never liked it, but
sure,
it's just very flat. I don't know.
Well, and the thing about that is too, though, is that like there are so many blast beats on that album, and I think like the way that you engineer the sound of the snare is in many ways dependent on what it's doing.
Style.
Yeah. If you're doing a ton of blast beats, you don't want a snare with a lot of tone or tail. You want something that just is in and out, just quick, unless you really want to go crazy and automate shit, which, I mean, I'm sure people do more often these days. My example of a really bad snare, and this is something I was thinking about, here's the thing. I love this song. Some people may consider this guilty pleasure territory. I don't. I think it's just a good song, and I think the mix is okay. I think where it really went wrong was like mic selection, like the first step of the engineering process of just like capturing the sound. I think that the mix, the source wasn't that good, and I think whoever mixed it did the best they could. They probably could have done better. Fuck, it would have been better if they just sample replaced it actually. So maybe they didn't do that good of a job. The song itself is really good, and so my thought was like, I'll issue myself a challenge. Like, do I think I could produce this song better? Honestly, maybe. And the reason that this is sort of like racy or whatever, that's sort of like a big claim I'm making, is because the song is by Papa Roach.
Okay, so yeah, I went the other direction with new metal, but yeah, let's look at Papa Roach.
Yeah,
which song?
Falling Apart from 2015.
What?
Yeah.
They made songs then?
Yeah. The song itself is really good, and I think you'll be surprised. We should listen through at least the first chorus, because there's actually
from the beginning through the chorus?
Yeah. Because there's actually a fair amount of gent influence in this song. Like, it's not executed on
the
very
album
well.
Artwork definitely has space.
I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah, wow. It does.
You already listening?
Yeah, I'm listening now.
Here,
wow.
Back it up. Let's start it together at the same time.
Well, I wonder who they got to work for him on this.
That's a good question. Let me look it up. You hear what I mean about that snare, though?
Yeah, it's kind of hiding.
It sucks.
Like,
I hate the snare so much. It's so like...
It's very like muted and just kind of dark and...
Right.
Yeah. I can see where a new metal producer was like, no, this is a good snare.
Right.
Because like they just need to find the instruments a place. It's not like it has to be the right place. I feel like with all
that's
like
the
pop
difference
music
between
in general.
okay. If that's what we think their job is, then it's like, what, did the band not tip them? Like, no. If you get a job, you should make it sound good. You should make it sound better than this. You know what I mean?
Because everything else sounds really good. But I think it's just like
but then,
I think the filter that whoever made it, probably looking through it, they might have said, okay, I can make that kind of guitar sound. I can make this kind of thing.
Like, let's here's my analysis.
Never listen to a snare that like punches you in the head. You know what I mean?
Right, which they should have. Like, if this song was sort of re-engineered with the gent treatment, meaning. Basically redo the whole bridge. The bridge is like a slow jam thing. That's pretty much where I'm at in the song right now. Redo the whole bridge, redo the drum beat in the verse, because there's like eighth note hi-hats that just aren't jiving with me. Like, the drum beat in the verse kind of sucks. Yeah. Especially if you're doing that bop 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 bop, like, that's tight. Like, hone in on that. The chorus, 10 out of 10. I love the fucking like 4 on the floor drum beat. I love like the bow ba da da bow ba da da. That's all sick, but like
the drums really aren't there. Yeah.
it's the drummer dropped the ball and the person capturing the sound of the drums dropped the ball. This song has such a high potential, and so I'm just going to issue this statement now. I am going to do a cover of this song, and I'm not going to do. I'm not going to do the normal thing I do where I'm like, I go out of my way to make it super metal. I'm going to do something a little more subtle, which is I'm going to just make changes that I would have made had I been in the studio.
Reproduce it.
Yeah. And been like, okay, this is what I think this song should be.
What it could have been.
Right. Which includes
and then everyone in DSP would have been Papa Roach fans. You know what I mean?
Honestly, yeah. If anybody who's into New Volumes would have loved it. Which, by the way, New Volumes is on my list as well. So if you haven't checked them out, we're going to.
Okay, yeah. I think that I saw the last thing I listened to them was that it was like blue faces on the album cover. Oh, is that it?
Happier is the name of the album. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I only listened to like the single. I can't remember.
Bend, I love that song. Song's good. That's actually the one on my list, I think. Anyway, so snare-wise in particular, I think this is D tier. I think the snare sounds...
Yeah, it could have been much better.
Like the gentle ripping of a sheet of paper. Like it doesn't sound...
Because listening to it, like I said, I wasn't even... Because we should be listening to snares, but I was listening to the song.
Right.
And I hadn't even gotten to the snare yet when you had mentioned to listen to it. And then when I had... I noticed it wasn't there.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's not. It doesn't like hit you in the face like it should, because this is a heavy song. It's heavier than
the riff is heavy. Yeah.
It's like you know, when we say heavy in a modern context, the song.
Yeah, it's not. Let's be honest. It's not as heavy as Cut My
Last
Life
Resort. Yeah,
that shit is the heaviest song ever written.
But it could have very easily been like this.
You want to know what? Let's go.
In 2015, they would have been ahead of the curve on the gent pop thing.
Let's just do something real quick. Now, I want to compare this snare to Last Resort. Let's listen to that.
Ooh, that's a good call. Yeah. It's got snap.
That would have been, they should have just sampled that one. Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing.
This song is 22 years old. This song could drink. This song can legally drink, and the snare sounds
Cut
better.
its life into pieces and drink itself to death.
Yeah, it sounds better than their 2015 release. To their credit, if they have music that's come out more recently than 2015, which I'm sure they do because they're like super active on social media right now. I haven't checked it out. I should. I probably should. But my thesis on Falling Apart, the 2015 song by Papa Roach, is that it's got the bones of a really good gent pop song, and it was not executed on nearly well enough, and it could have been.
Really, just on the drum production, and that was like the only thing I really felt
on the drum production. The bridge in general needs to be heavier. They went the opposite direction. The bridge is like this weird laid back. Safe. Yeah, they went with like a slow jam, because most people who were into Papa Roach in 2000, like people in our age group, got heavier. You know what I mean? Like you could have capitalized. You could have capitalized on the nostalgia thing and the fact that a lot of us are like metalheads now, and you could have kept your normal audience happy because the gent pop thing is like transmutable. Like it's like something that multiple kinds of audiences could enjoy. So I don't know. It's just such a shame looking at it. It's like, what a great opportunity that was sort of like squandered. So yeah, I think it would be a fun project for me to try and like sit down and be like, what would I do differently with this song? And like, how do I think it should be done? You know what I mean? Anyway, snare wise, yeah, that's going to be a D tier from me. I don't know how you feel, but
I put it at a D. Yeah, let's do it.
Next up, what do you want to do next?
I don't know what you got.
We could do Dimmu Borgir.
Oh boy, yeah. So this I knew was going to come up at some point. Yeah. And this song is, when we eventually talk about kicks, will be in that category. All right, here we go. I'm going to blast this.
The drum mix is very good. Oh, I think I have heard this.
I'm sure you have driving around with me at one point. Damn. I remember I just drove around all the time in high school just blasting this, scaring old women. But the drums in it are just so, like, you talk about 3 dimensions, like with the guitars on that old Ghost Inside track. That's what I feel like when I listen to this. It's got so much room and just like, you know what I mean? Like the kit is like the focus of this track. Everything else just kind of like plays along with it.
Yeah.
But for the fact that this song, when did this come out?
2010 maybe?
No. 2001.
2001?
Dude, yeah.
Very good for that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it was like back then, like when you crank this in your car, like the amount of like sub frequency that like pumps into you from the kick, it's like, it's an onslaught. But yeah, the snare goes along with it because it just has this room and body to it that.
Snare's good. Yeah, I like that a lot. I don't know if I consider it S.
No, I wouldn't say the snare is S.
I would say
BA.
BA. Yeah, I agree. We'll put it at an A, which is a direct contradiction of what I said earlier. Cool. All right, next up I have, surprise, surprise, although I did say I would do this, False Love in Real Life by Emir. I can't underscore it enough. This album was a landmark album for modern metal production.
Okay, yeah.
That's S tier in my book, dude. That shit sounds so good.
So, but that was like a sound effect, right? I mean, that was.
What do you mean?
Well, the tail that they added, right? That verb.
That might have been a snare bomb, yeah.
Which is cool. And then, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, the snare is good. I'm just wondering in that part in particular.
Sure.
That's a great accent to that part.
And I was thinking about this today. I was like, do we count, like this afternoon, the thought occurred to me. I was like, how do we account for things like snare bombs? Those like, crack,
Drop down, snap,
and I don't know. Honestly,
or
I don't know.
reverse snare stuff.
Or reverse snare, yeah.
I'm cool with that stuff being
I love
integrated into this because all that stuff, I mean, it is a snare at the end of the day. And that's part of it. It's extracurricular, but if the snare itself alone without that isn't any good, then it don't matter. But
I agree. I'm going to try and scrub around and find a spot in the song where the snare is like more buried to see if it's, you know what I mean? Like that's sort of the true test, right? Like,
yeah. Yeah, it's a good snare.
It's so good. Oh.
What do you think? You think that's S?
I think it's S. Absolutely. Like I said, man, as far as like...
I'll give it to you for now, but there could be other things.
It could get bumped off, yeah.
Let's put it there for now.
It's such, I mean, like I said, landmark album for modern metal production, for sure.
And the snare is a big part of that.
A huge part of that. It's maybe the best thing on the album is like the way the snare sounds.
What about the
I mean, yeah, all the bells and whistle stuff is really cool on this album too, but just the snare tone in particular is the thing that always stuck out to me. All right, if we go alphabetically, next thing I have is Abyssal Mouth by Humanity's Last Breath.
Okay, I've listened to them before, and there's some crazy stuff they do. What timestamp did you have?
3 minutes, which, by the way, since they started doing like the heat map on YouTube, you can tell where all the breakdowns and metal songs are.
Oh, I've wondered about that though, because like I'm just watching regular ass people talking, and I see a bunch of blips on this radar, and I go to them, but I don't notice anything. So like, I don't know if that algorithm. I'm confused by it. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm pretty sure it's just a heat map of like how often, like where the most watch time occurs in a video.
Oh, is that what it is? I thought it was like audio or something like that.
We're talking about the same thing, right? Like over like the progress bar. There's
just like a wave.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
just,
I didn't realize it was a view time or whatever.
so you can tell
I
where the
thought it was
best parts of any video are.
so you can just skip someone's content entirely.
Yeah, if you want. You can just listen to only the breakdowns, which there are two big bumps in this song, and they're both the breakdowns.
There we go, 3 minutes.
Yep.
Oh, I remember this one. Yeah. The tin can voice. Yeah, the snare's cool.
It's pretty good.
I think
it's.
Let me listen a little more.
Yeah, sure.
I give it a B. It's good. It's super good, but it doesn't do.
I was on the fence with B or A. I agree. I think it's just north of average, but I don't think that that's the point of this record. I mean, there's so much. This record is all about guitar production. Yeah,
it's all guitar.
Because it's just like within a 2-second span, it'll be like pitch shifted down a whole octave and then up 2 octaves, and then like it's just like so much guitar stuff happening. So it's just it's an all right snare, but it's as good as it needs to be. I
think the kick and all the rest of the kit too is really doing its part appropriately to follow along with that. But it's like in basketball, you've got role players, and they're not the best players in the world, but man, they do that one thing really good.
Next up, we've got Lamb of God. Now you've got Something to Die For.
Oh, man.
This seems like a good one to play from the beginning.
And you're not going to like Chris Adler's snare, dude. I'm just telling you that right now, upon reflection.
You think so? You think it's too, like, pongy?
It's all pong.
All right, let's give it a listen.
Wait for the verse.
I don't know if it's pong.
Wait for when you can hear the snare on its own.
Okay.
It's got all those overtones. It's got a note to it, a ring. And that's what I do appreciate, those types of snares. Not on everything. It has to be the right kind of music. But I do
all
love
snares have that, but it's just like.
But this like the ring in the pong, that's that pong, that kickball thing is pong, right? You know what I mean? It's the ring.
No, right. And I'm not hearing as much of that as I'm hearing just like. That riff is so sick. I'm gonna pause it there. I'm not hearing so much of like the dodgeball pong as I am hearing just like a piccolo snare, which I'm pretty sure it is. Like,
the piccolo
it's like a
snares
13
really
incher.
cool.
It's so small.
At this point in time, piccolos were cool, but it had a lot of that overtone ring that associated with that stuff.
Sure. I think it sounds good, honestly. I think it's got a nice crack to it, nice snap.
The crack that's why people like those piccolos. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing about snare mixing is that, like, and I'm sure you'll jive with me on this, but like every snare drum has a note to it, and most of the time people are doing what they can to remove some or all of that from a snare.
Yeah, they just want an attack. That's all they want. You know what I mean?
I think the secret sauce is keeping just a little bit of it in there.
A little bit. Like, I remember, what's his name? Cole, German dude. He does a lot of death metal. He does a lot of engineering tutorials on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Mostly death metal, but he goes into detail about like misconceptions, especially with drums, and how to get like good sounding drums. Is that like a lot of like newbie drummers, they'll like tighten their heads on their kick and on their snares, and they'll like want piccolo snares, and they'll want like because they want like that snappy, cracky attack.
Right.
But in the video I remember watching of his talking about that, he's like, actually, the looser it is, the more of that attack you'll get. Because what happens when you over tighten the
it deadens the
skins,
ring. Well,
it deadens the ring, but on top of that, it'll prolong a tone.
Interesting.
Like a piccolo snare, right? It's a small thing, really tight, and it gives you this overtone. But if you want something that's gonna punch, you actually want a deep snare and a loose kick, just because it's sort of like just the sub frequency that you're picking up, and it's a short, boo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you get that click maybe if you making sure you're miking it correctly, you know. But beyond that, like I remember my drummer in high school. I'm sorry, Joey, but yeah, I remember he got a piccolo snare and he would tighten up his shit. And like in practice, it was okay, but like I guarantee you, it would sound weird recorded. You know what I mean? Like
sure. So where would you rank this snare?
I'd say that one's an A for me because it's just I remember that snare.
I heavily agree with that. I think it's very prime A territory. Maybe Virgin
Sadler's
on
A,
S.
man. Yeah. Chris Sadler's just too good.
Right. Okay, so I last minute added a submission just now because it should have been in my original list, and I just had this fucking huge facepalm moment. Speaking of very pongy, you think that snare, the Chris Adler snare, has the dodgeball pong? I'm gonna do you one better. In the Shadows by Story of the Year off Page Avenue, which is not so. It's not strictly speaking metal.
No, I imagine not.
But it has screaming in it. The production is very metal influence production, I would say, and particular with the drums and the snare. This is the guy who produced The Used as well, and so he's got these snare drums that just you can tell when it's this guy. I forget the name of the guy.
Burt McCracken.
John Feldman is the producer.
Oh, Johnny Feldman, yeah.
Yeah, so you can always tell when it's one of his snares, honestly.
That's true. I remember when we were working with Matt Good and the guy from Oceanic, and like, dude, I remember when they got together, it was funny because like they were talking, when we first got there, Matt hadn't met us there yet. He was flying in like a day later. The other guy was like, who's this other guy's coming? Like, oh, Matt from First Class. Yeah, he did the pre-pro with us, and like we thought we should bring him along, finish it. It's like, well, usually I produce all the bands. I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. And then he comes, and then immediately they just start blowing each other, like just left and right. They're like, dude, John Feldman, dude, Feldy, dude, John Feldman, J Feldman, Feldy. And I was like, you guys are so lame. Like,
that's funny.
But anyway.
Yeah, just start it from 10 seconds.
Yeah, there's a ton of ring. I'll give you that.
But it sounds good.
It's almost too much, but yeah, it's good. Like the snare is too loud in the mix, in my opinion.
You think so?
Sorry, John Feldman. Yeah. Might be what I'm listening on, but I remember this.
This is 2003 as well.
Yeah, I feel like the snare is like overshadowing the vocalist.
Yeah, kinda.
But it sounds good, but yeah,
I love it. I think it's
much.
I think it's, as far as just the snare sound though, I think it's
Yeah,
sort of.
if it was like a dB quieter, it would be S tier. But I'll give you. I like that snare. I give it A.
I agree with that. I think it's extremely fair. Side note: Page Avenue. If I were to compose a list of like which I guess we should probably do eventually, like top 5 favorite albums front to back of all time.
Wow.
Page Avenue is on it for sure.
That'd be a difficult one. Okay.
Oh, I could do it right now. Fucking Page Avenue, Exoplanet by The Contortionist, Controller by Misery Signals. I would need what?
I said, of course.
I thought you said gross. I was like, motherfucker.
Also gross, and of course.
Yeah. No, it's great.
That's not my favorite.
By Misery Signals or just in general?
Miz.
You're gonna say Mirrors.
By Les Mis.
You're gonna say Mirrors. Although
No, I wasn't gonna say Mirrors.
What do you say, Absent Light?
No,
What the fuck is your answer to that question then?
of Malice, bro.
Oh, fuck, I forgot. See, this is that thing where our age
Yeah,
gap.
yeah. I was introduced to of Malice, and like, I still go back to that album. Yeah.
If I had to rank my favorite Misery Signals albums, of Malice would be on the lower end for sure.
That's crazy.
Are you kidding? No,
crazy.
Absent Light, sleeper hit. Ultraviolet is probably my least favorite, but of Malice is probably my second least favorite, if I'm being honest.
There's so much good content, though.
I mean, it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying.
It's still Miz.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Misery Signals is like pizza is like sex. Even when it's bad, it's still pretty good, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
you're not going to complain. Yeah.
no, yeah, for real. Anyway, if I put together a list of like my top 5 favorite albums front to back, Story of the Year's Page Avenue would be on that list for sure. Anything else on that? You want to move on?
Let's move on.
All right, we got Pale Face,
Oh, who's that? Pale Face.
Curse Us. The song is a fucking slapper.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Oh, man. Everybody put your elbow and knee pads on. The pit is about to open up. Wear a helmet.
Women do something that you are getting good. This is what we all have been waiting for. Now it's time to something. Oh, you son of a bitch, you're fucked. This is it. You're fucking
I'll be honest, this song is awesome. And the snare was a bit of a throwaway, but
Yeah, you managed to pick a timestamp. It's been 40 seconds and I haven't heard a single snare yet, I think.
wait, what?
You can never fucking kill me, you cowards! Cause I am the fucking curse
At 350?
There it is. 450. Maybe I read your timestamp wrong.
I mean, it's sitting in the mix in the right place, but
Yeah.
it could do a lot more.
I agree.
Like it could be more body, it could be a little more atmosphere to it.
yeah,
But I don't know. Let's go B. Maybe
I
C.
agree. I think B, maybe A even. I think B is a solid.
Okay.
I think it's good. I just don't think it's great.
Yeah, it's a little thin for me, but yeah, that's let's do B.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. Oh my god, I can't wait to post the tier list to Gent Shit Posting and see the comments after people see that I put Story of the Year above fucking Humanity's Last Breath. They're not gonna like that, I don't think, but that's okay because that's so many drive-by commenters. By the way, have you seen those threads?
Let's do another. Let's do one more. Let's put Papa Roach above.
No,
satisfy-
I just for the image itself, and then I don't think I have the heart for that.
Yeah, gotta be honest here.
Because at least we might have some takes that they think are bad, but at least we're like formulating actual opinions here. You know what I mean? Like those comment threads on Gent Shit Posting when we post these it's just like, dude. Everybody's like, oh, you got it wrong. You should shift this band up there. That band needs to come down there. And it's just like, homie, watch the episode or fuck off.
These are inspectors, they're inspectors. Well, actually, I think you need to, OSHA would not allow this. And
right. It's just like, okay, dude, whatever. Like, if you want to hear our rationale, you know where to do it. Anyway, Paleface is a slapper. The snare is good. It's just lacks character, in my opinion.
yeah, it lacks a certain signature,
Sure. Okay, next up I have Consume by Polaris. Are you familiar?
Polaris. I know I listened to like one album for like, I don't know, for a while in the gym.
They're good.
What song?
Consume. The song is really good.
I think, yeah, this was the album I was listening to, yeah. Yeah. It's like the modern snare,
I love this song. I love this album.
Yeah, this album's really good.
The snare. Meh.
It almost feels like they should have like tuned it a little higher or something.
What's that?
Like it feels like it's a little out of like it's too low of a tuning for the snare. Like I feel like it could have been higher and it would have sat better.
You're probably right. Here's the thing: is like these guys, and I know this band is like relatively young, right? I think when that song came out, a lot of them weren't even able to legally drink in America yet. That said, I think they went to a very solid producer and they got a very solid mix. But there's just like I don't know. I get that this is not like a common listener thing, that this is just an over-analyst thing that is a me problem. But like, I want to hear more mixes. Like, dude, I was listening to No Face, No Case earlier today, and like, I want to hear more mixes.
Now you're into them.
I am now, actually. Like, and like, I want to hear more mixes like that take risks.
Yeah, like it's like too much in a good way. You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
And it's unique in that way, and it's aggressive and like. Yeah, like in the case of Mortal Coil by Polaris, like I said, it's a very good mix. It's just not. It's just like it sounds exactly like a Periphery mix, and it sounds just like
sterile. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no like
no edge, no fun.
Yeah. So
that's why I listen to punk rock and hardcore, dude. We'll listen to one band after this that I just love to death, but it's like it's just your stereotypical hardcore thing. But like, you know, the mix doesn't matter. It's just fucking, it's hard, you know?
Sure. That's exactly why I can't get into those genres usually. And also why Of Malice is not my favorite.
Well, we can talk about that a little bit too, since we're going down this rabbit hole of like specifically what is good, what isn't good.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of the punk rock and hardcore won't make that list because I remember talking to my dad about it a long time ago. He's like, well, all my friends that were into punk, they said it had to sound shitty.
Right.
To be good. And that's a misnomer. I think that's a misunderstanding of punk rock, and
it's
hardcore tried. Hardcore tried. They stepped it up, but it wasn't that it had to sound bad. It just didn't have to sound good. You know what I mean? It's the glass half full thing, right? Like it was about the energy, you know what I mean? It wasn't about like necessarily how good it sounds. So none of that stuff will probably make it into a list like this for that reason. True. And the other thing too is like what is good, what is not good in the realm of art. That's all based on context. And so like when at the end of the day, lists like the ones that we do are ultimately like kind of bullshit, right? Because they're sort of devoid of context. Yep.
These are just like individual elements from works of art.
Just like any reviewer of any goddamn movie, music, anything. It's just one stupid guy's opinion on the internet. You know what I mean? Like,
sure,
that's all it is.
So, anyway, Polaris, I would put them at a B or maybe a C. Probably a C.
Okay.
I think it's bland.
Yeah, that one in particular, I would C. But the album is good.
The album is great. That's another thing. I was like, people don't.
Yeah, a lot of people don't talk about that.
Well, that and like people don't understand the nature of these lists that we make. Like clearly they don't understand it because people get so upset with us.
You know, it's funny.
And it's just like, hear me out.
Maybe off camera we can watch this video. One of my heroes, Ben Jordan, he does his own YouTube channel nowadays, and it's like a very obscure channel. Like he does music stuff, but like he also just like streams of consciousness too. And he put together this whole video about brand loyalty recently, and it's hilarious just because it's talking exactly about this. It's like when people like get behind something,
Pantera.
Well, right. They won't be told no. They won't be told it's not good. It's just
because it's a part of their identity now.
Well, right. And he goes into that and it's like, back in the day when we were cavemen, I am tall white man with black hair, and I noticed out in the woods there's other people that don't look like me, so we have to make sure we protect our people and our land against them because they're different. You know what I mean? Like,
right? Yeah.
It's brand loyalty. That's all it is. And it's like he shits on Apple. Oh, it's so good.
No, yeah. Well, they're worthy of being shit on for that reason.
I mean, they're as much of a tech company as they are a brand. You know what I mean?
Maybe more so a brand. I mean, like they're
exactly. It's debatable, right?
It is debatable. I mean, don't even get me started on like planned obsolescence and like the fucking snake oil salesman technique of like omitting USB-C drives and selling people a dongle to have it again. It's so dumb, dude. Like
He goes into these weird stats about like, you know, people who own an iPhone are this more likely to do this, that, the other, have this income, this much more likely to be swiped right on a dating app. You know what I mean? Like it's all just ridiculous, isn't it? You know?
It is ridiculous. So that's why I can't get fucking laid.
You gotta apple up, bro.
I need to fucking
Pony up.
Damn it. No, that ain't gonna happen. I ain't down that bad.
All right. What's next?
Yeah, so next I have Slaughter to Prevail.
All right, here we go.
All right.
What you hate for, hate for. I wanna know if you touch the dark. If you will stand with it's the center of the fire. And that shit bad, your justice will go to the end. It's the sound so down to the point to the fire. Know your own.
That's sick.
Yeah, this band could have probably been on the guitar tone list too. But yeah, the snare, poppy, pingy, but tastefully done.
Tastefully done. A little subdued. It's a little quiet. I think like
Really? I feel like it's really, really forward in the mix.
I think that it depends on what's happening in the mix. If it's because there are spots where it's like a breakdown essentially, and there's like rests that the guitar and bass are doing, and the vocals are doing, where it really pops out, of course. But in that same breakdown, on the third beat of the first measure, everything is happening at once. Right? If the breakdown is 4 measures long, and the snare, I can't hear the snare basically at all when that happens. And when I have moments like that in my music, this is personal preference, but when I have moments like that in my music, the snare is what I want to hear the most.
You automated a little.
Actually no. I have mixed bus. I have mixed bus compression set on. So what I do, sort of a play on Nolly's top-down mixing, where so you've got all your instruments, you've got your drums, your bass, guitars, leads. Well, fuck leads actually for now. You have you sum your tracks into basically 3 tracks that then get summed into the master, right? Those 3 tracks being your rhythm section, which is drums, bass guitar, rhythm guitar. You have a clean guitar and lead guitar track. Those can get summed together. And then you have a vocal track.
Okay, yeah.
Right. And so in the case of the rhythm instrument track, I have mixed bus compression set such that the only thing that's getting compressed at all is the kick drum and the snare drum. I have the levels set where the only things that are touching that compressor are the kick and snare. It's like a 4-to-1 ratio, and you're looking for like 3 dB compression on the snare and like 1 dB on the kick. And that's what I shoot for. And so as a result...
Your attack and release just kind of vary depending... Oh, fast on both?
Yep, on both, yep.
For metal, for sure. Yeah.
Yep. Like as fast as it'll go. As fast as it'll go on the release, 1 tick above the fastest it'll go on attack.
Okay.
Because I want it to like do that. Just
you want the attack to come through. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't want it squashed from the beginning. So, and as a result, I don't have to automate basically at all. And that effect of like the snare being at the forefront of those moments where everything is happening just tends to happen. Anyway, it's good though. I like the snare a lot. Slaughter to Prevail. I think, you said they're overhyped. I don't know if I agree. I mean, I get what you're pointing at, but like from a business angle, they're doing everything right. Like, they have the gimmick, which is the mask. Their vocalist is badass.
Their gimmick is their vocalist is badass. They're from Russia. They're
from
badass. And masks. And they got a few gimmicks working in their favor.
The mask,
and scarification.
Oh, I guess I didn't know that.
Well, recently, I don't know. He's got like a big scar cut into the side of his face now.
Interesting. I think the mask thing in particular is sort of brilliant because...
You've never seen it before?
No, I'm aware that they've been doing that.
No, I'm saying other bands.
Slipknot comes to mind. I guess Mudvayne kind of.
Yeah.
But that's my point, is that all the examples I can come up with of like the heavy bands wearing masks are like very mainstream. There's a reason those mainstream bands get away with wearing masks. I'm not sure that they're getting away with it at all, actually. I think that's something that draws people in about them.
Mushroom Head.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But they were mainstream for like a second.
Or Buckethead, for that matter.
Yeah, I don't know. I like them a lot. And their mixes are great. Yeah, Slaughter to Prevail. And their mixes are great. They're metal as hell. I get behind them 110%. I think the gimmick has projected them to a height that like is a little, it's the elitism, probably speaking, and the gatekeeping where it's like half the videos on the internet about them are like reactors. You know what I mean? They're like, oh shit, they crazy, dog. And it's like, it's just like kind of cringy, you know, that they're associated with that.
Cringe sells, though. Here's the thing is like, cringe only really, I'm going to say something that might even come off as controversial here, is that cringe only exists in the minds of people with self-awareness, right? So like, otherwise it's not cringe. Like the reason
like a Pantera fan. They're not aware that they're cringe.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, like, I don't know how best to put this. Like, cringe is wildly popular. And yes, a lot of people will, especially these days, sort of call creators out for being cringe. And so there's this weird thing happening where cringe has always been wildly popular, even pre-internet, right? But due to the way algorithmically driven services work, the fact that people have become more self-aware over time is sort of incidental, because all comments, negative or positive, are engagement, right? So like it used to be that people just like be like, okay, I don't know if it's cringe or not, but this is all I've got because I listen to the radio, or this is all I've got because I have like 3 to 10 channels on TV, and who cares if it's cringe? Nowadays, people know it's fucking cringe. They call people out for being cringe, and those call outs drive these algorithms and push the cringe in front of more people. So I don't know. I posit that cringe is always sold.
Interesting.
Do you kind of? I'm not doing a great job of explaining my point, but like,
no, I know what you're hitting on though. Is that like it's a weird psychological journey you have to go down to like business wise. You know what I mean? Like to be like, all right, it's like shitty reality TV or the Jerry Springer show, right? The lowest common denominator is going to tune in to some bullshit like that. You know what I mean? Like, because
the thing that the Jerry Springer show and like sort of on average cringe content have in common is that they're a mechanism for the viewer to feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
And also the worst thing you can be in entertainment is boring. Right.
So at least you can be disturbingly sad, you know?
Right. Or whatever avenue of cringe.
Yeah. Well, I go immediately go to like Michael Scott being the poster child, right? Just like a lot of people. I remember watching it for the first time with my buddy I grew up with, and the guy like physically was twisted up watching it.
Yeah.
Like he was just like, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. It's so bad and awkward, and I was like,
correct.
Well, got you to react, didn't it?
Right, exactly. And that's why I think that's why The Office is so popular. Because The Office, people will say it's like the funniest show or their favorite funny show, and I'm like, it's not the funniest. It's not, but okay.
It's funny, but like
it is. Yes, in a binary sense, is it funny or not? Yes, it's funny.
Yeah,
but it's not nearly as funny as Community or as Arrested Development or you know, I don't know. Always Sunny is funnier, I think. Like
Shawshank Redemption, you know, like
right.
Schindler's List. All these things are funny, you know, but to a different level.
Yeah. The Rabbit Proof Fence. All these things are so funny. Yeah. So where would you put the Slaughter to Prevail snare?
I put this one at like an A.
I agree. I think that's very solid.
Because a lot of their shit is an A.
Yeah. That's true. Although I think you said that they would be good for our guitar tone discussion. I don't disagree, but I don't think it would be. I think it's like a B guitar tone.
Wow. Okay. I would put it at an A.
Okay. Sure. We're not so different, you and I. I've been watching the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies this week.
Good for you.
So,
speaking of cringe.
Yeah. Right. The introduction our nation got into Nickelback. right? They were on the Spider-Man 1 soundtrack.
That reminds me, we should do.
Is that how it reminds you?
Yes, it is. So I think we should do an episode where we just get the most butt metal songs we can find. Like, what is the S tier butt metal song?
I fucking love butt rock, so I'm super down.
Can you take me out away? Can you take out away?
So I
when
said,
you shoved it in my face.
So it immediately occurs to me when I said I love butt rock. That's not necessarily true because I don't
let's just edit that in the. If you guys could just edit that, dude. I love butt. I love butt.
I love butt. I do love butt. That's true. When I thought butt rock, I was thinking Nickelback was like the edge of the cringe factor. I wasn't thinking all the way down to like Stained or like Creed.
Oh, dude, the rabbit hole goes deep.
It goes deep. But when you have that like surface level butt rock, like your Breaking Benjamins, that's gold. I fucking love a lot of Breaking Benjamin stuff.
Puddle of Mud.
Pass.
No, I'm saying we got to find the best of the worst, just like Red Letter,
The best of the worst or the worst of the best? No, it would be best of the worst, wouldn't it?
Yes, right.
Yeah, right. It would. I'm game. That sounds fun. A butt rock band tier list sounds really fun, actually. Where do you draw the line, though? Does Slipknot count?
No, they don't. They're metal.
Okay, fair enough.
Butt rock is very.
You know it when you see it.
If you guys are from Minneapolis, 93X.
We could say the thing we would say in that conversation anyway. Without prompting or any sort of meme incentive, we could say Five Finger Death Punch is even amongst butt rock bands like a C or a D tier, and we could get Ivan Moody to respond to us personally on the internet because he is doing a whole Chris Taylor Brown thing right now. Like he's calling people out on TikTok. That man's on TikTok, by the way. He's like 50 years old, and he is like doing like he's living out truck stop memes.
So you're saying there's a chance for me in my old age to still join TikTok, huh?
Yeah. I mean, TikTok has a lot of people on it. It has over like 3 billion downloads. So
I'm pretty sure my dad has seen TikToks. So if he's seen it, then that means I am allowed.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think there's an age limit. I'm just saying that Ivan Moody in particular doesn't understand the medium. You know what I mean? Like
my dad.
Yeah, fair enough. But would your dad produce videos that are the like 30-second equivalent of Inside You There Are Two Wolves?
Maybe.
Well, I can tell you that Ivan Moody is, certainly. So
I'll ask my dad if he's following.
Yeah, okay. All right, I got 2 left here. We got Static X. Speaking of butt rock.
Dude, this should have been on my, well, they would have been the best of the worst, not the worst, or the worst of the best.
The worst of the best.
No, they would have just been the best. Anyway, you want to go Static X?
Yeah. Get to the Gone.
Oh my God,
when did this
album
come out? 2001 is when this came
2001. And yes, butt rock. It's new metal though.
What's the difference?
Butt rock for me is Nickelback, Creed, Puddle of Mud, Stained. They're not new metal. New metal has an edge. Butt rock is rock and roll, but for your girlfriend's dad. You know what I mean? Like he wouldn't listen to Slipknot or Static X. It'd be too.
He might. He might
be too crazy
though.
For him though.
I'm just saying there's a thin membrane between butt rock and new metal. Thinner than people would acknowledge. Okay, Nickelback is a perfect example of this. They've been playing 7-string guitars longer than any band I'm aware of. They've been playing, dude, most of Nickelback's music is in drop A. Okay.
How long was Limp Bizkit playing 7 strings?
4 strings, actually.
What?
Yeah, Wes Borland's guitar had 4 strings on it. They had a custom 4-string made.
I was made a 7-string on the early albums.
That's probably true, but hold on.
Maybe on the newer stuff he isn't, I guess. But I'm saying that dude.
Is he involved in the new stuff?
Wes Borland?
Yeah, I thought he left.
No, that's a Wes Borland riff on that other thing.
Okay, so I guess in April of this year, PRS made him a custom 4-string guitar bass hybrid. Somebody on TikTok, because I did a Limp Bizkit cover, little mini cover, and somebody on TikTok was like, he plays a 4-string actually. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, he didn't originally.
Okay. Anyway,
he played a 7, and so did Stephen Flat Earth from.
So is Limp Bizkit new metal or are they butt rock?
They're new metal. They're new metal. Yeah.
Okay. I think there are some bands that ride that line though.
Well, I guess, but like, and I think "Can You Take It All the Way"
That's butt
chorus.
rock.
That's butt rock, right?
Clearly,
but,
yes.
But "Rolling" is not in the same vein, right?
Not in the same. Yeah, I agree. They're different.
Yes, and I think that's the distinction: is one rocks, but one fucks, and one is, and so. Get to the Gone is one of those ones that fucks, and I think we ought to just play from the beginning and play through the first. All right.
All right.
I wanna be. This is no way to be.
I love that verse. I love this whole song. But the snare is great, I think, for the time and for this album. It fits perfectly in the mix. Like,
it's a little quiet, I would say.
It's quiet, but it like the
and there's
tone,
some sort of electronic hi-hat happening in the background that's super distracting. Like there's some sort of 16th note, like tick 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 tick, like that's just like
yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm just like I can't.
Yeah, there's just like all these extra elements that they used to do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I think this snare is a BA.
I see B. I think B.
Okay.
It's not
because
bad.
It's metal.
It's metal. Yeah, I mean that's certainly true.
And that's what I point is new metal is metal. But rock is rock.
That's fair. That's fair. I think if you were to picture rock and metal as countries, as neighboring countries,
they are.
Then butt rock and new metal are like India and Pakistan with the border ceremony. Like they're right fucking next to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like it's India and Nepal. You know what I mean? Like,
is that what it is? Did I get that wrong?
Probably. I mean, Pakistan's close too, but Nepal is literally touching India. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Either way, they're super. I don't know. I see those two subgenres as so close together. All right. Last one I have is "Bend" by Volumes. There are a lot of electronic elements in this song. The first verse is all electronic, but the place this snare really shines is in the second verse. So I think start at 1 minute and 35 seconds.
Yeah, and what it does nicely is the tail of it.
Oh, you're listening?
Up. Yeah.
Okay.
The tail of that snare, it opens up underneath. Like it's interesting because I can hear the attack of the snare.
Here, pull it back. Pull it back to 135, and let's listen together because
okay, here we
this is going to be a nightmare to edit.
135 and go.
Hold my breath and tell you that you're right. Can't fake another feeling when you feed me with your antidote.
Okay, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
So there's a handful of milliseconds where the attack happens, and underneath the kind of room verb of the snare, it's a lower frequency range that opens up left to right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like from the middle out. So you get this pop,
this bloom.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like a blooming. You know what I mean? So production wise, that's great.
It is great. This whole I love this album. People talk shit because when bands start to shift their sound a little bit, people get freaked out. Although
I don't know, I feel like they shifted their sound like
very gradually.
Ago.
Well, I was going to say they did it very gradually because there's you can like people say a lot of people
listen
think that
to Northlane because like that band fucking sounds different.
Right. I think the volume shift was way more gradual. Like people cite Via as their like favorite Volumes album very often, and then at the same token they'll be like, but their new stuff is too poppy. I'm like, dude, Via had poppy shit on it. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
like, Edge of the Earth is just on the other side of a pop song from this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I mean, it's a good jam, but like definitely. Yeah, I like this snare. and it's tuned like perfectly
Yeah.
to match the rest of the track.
How do you feel rating wise?
Let me listen. The only thing I would like is a little more high frequency, like in the attack or something, like a little more pop. But it's like on that verge of AS. That's where that is.
I agree. I want to say S, but I think you're right. I think
it's an A+.
Yeah, for sure.
Good job, Volumes.
Yeah, for real. New shit is fucking so good. I love it.
Yes, that is the list that we have witnessed.
The respect issue is the sole S tier snare that we spoke of.
Wow. Okay.
Don't freak out, everybody, because this, you know how people interpret this shit. Is people will be like, you missed this album and that album. What about this album? It's like, this is not all encompassing. Like,
the irony is the respect issue, right? You know, the issue they have is respect my name. You got to respect my name. Put some respect on my name and my snare drum. Yeah, I think the list is good. Leave comments down below about which snares we missed so that we can not listen to it, you know?
Yeah, right. I mean, look, we might have things where, like, we come back and revisit some of these lists and add to them, I guess. We could do that.
Oh, you know what? I had a bonus. Let's do bonus round. Bonus round.
Here we go. What do you got?
Ding, ding, ding. Waking the Cadaver. Because now I'm curious. We talked about him earlier. I want to hear Chase Through the Woods by a snare drum to just see where that snare feels.
Chase Through the Woods by a snare drum. That is exactly how we should refer to this.
There are no typical murderers. While others kill on impulse.
Oh, is that ping? That's not a pong, that's a ping.
I hate it.
Wait for the snare. Listen to how bad it is here when it goes.
That's so bad.
He found his way back to the beat when he went back to the scissors. Wow, that's bad. That's poop tier.
Yeah, that's bad. That's really bad. That's staying in trash tier as far as I'm concerned.
So I mean, I can't think of too many Waking the Cadaver fans out there, so we're in good company there.
Yeah. I think even fans of Waking the Cadaver would be like, yeah, you're right. It's bad.
No, that's shit. And that's why I love it, man.
That's the point, isn't it?
I love how shitty it sounds, man. All
right,
right,
that's snares. What are we doing? What are we doing next week?
Well, so we've got some options. We've got kicks, but you know,
kicks would be interesting.
Yeah, well, we can do kicks. We're gonna have to go through the whole thing, but we can do kicks. I think we ought to highlight some bass tone and some vocalists, though.
Yeah, I think vocalist is the obvious one.
Okay, let's do vocalist next time.
All right, yeah, sure.
All right, well, next time we'll talk about how good or bad your favorite vocalist is.
Yeah, we're gonna break some hearts on that one, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he sucks, dude. Sorry to tell you.
You know who doesn't suck? People who watched all the way through the video.
Hey.
Fuck you, everybody.
Fuck you.